Good morning, everybody. Welcome to WBS 103, Working with Buyers for Success. And this is a great training that we're about to do on advanced buyer techniques. We're going to cut through some of this, obviously, the new laws and new rules with buyer forms and whatever, but let's go ahead and get started. So WBS 103, Advanced Buyers Techniques. Here we go. Showing tips. We talked for a while, guys, in the last couple trainings, and if you haven't taken those trainings, please jump on and grab those, take those trainings so you get this. But you need to be looking for new listings daily to find new shiny pennies. Remember, we talked shiny pennies at the top 5 in the price ranges in the areas that you serve. You should know those, and you should be searching for those. Another showing tip: find out why the seller is moving. An average house can become a shiny penny if there's an urgent need to move. In other words, they become an A buyer, a house that maybe not so great, but it does fit their criteria if they need to move now. The story I told you, a guy's living in a residence inn with his wife, 4 kids, 2 dogs, a cat, and a parrot. He needs to get in a house really quickly. So that changes based on their motivation. You always want to know a buyer's motivation, because if they're a B or a C buyer, and again, if you're not familiar with that, refer to the past trainings, don't waste your time with them. It's the A buyers and, some B buyers, but not, most of them, you want to refer B's and C's out. Work the house, not the buyer. This is a great, great tip. Make your shiny penny list for all price ranges. Use it to sell. But what does it mean to work the house and not the buyer? So where you have 2 buyers that are looking to buy in a particular area. A new shiny penny comes on the market. Schedule one of them to see it at 3:30 and the other one at 4 o'clock. Saves time. Puts you in control. Set tentative appointments. Realize that we talked about this before in showings, but realize that the shiny pennies are the houses that are going to go under contract first. You show 5 houses and one of them's already under contract. Guess which one the person that you show is going to like the most? The one that went under contract. Why? It's not Murphy's Law. It's not any of those things. It's that it was the nicest house. And of course, there may be a little bit of you always want what you can't have too, right? Oh, that one's gone. Oh, you didn't care about it until it went under contract, right? I'll leave that there. But so always set tentative appointments beforehand. So that, because it's a shiny penny, but also then call and double check. Hey, have you accepted any offers in this house? Because the shiny pennies are going to be the first to go. Ensure the seller knows their role. Now, I'm not the listing agent. This becomes a little bit tougher, but you can tell the seller's agent, text them, call them. I know we all use showing time these days, so we don't have to talk to anybody, but get in touch with them. Say, look, I got a buyer that's, they're an A buyer. They want, and explain what an A buyer is if they don't know. They're really interested. I want to make sure this house is really good for them. So the other agent will call and make sure they clean up the clutter. You expect that people can see through the fact that there's clutter or filth, but some people just can't. I remember myself when I was buying a condominium, I don't know, 20 years ago, I guess it was, and going into this one, and the guy had all packed up, right? So he had boxes. I had the same thing happen when I was looking for the house that I live in now 4 years ago. When this house, and they had boxes packed and lined in the hallways. The place felt small, especially 4 years ago. I should have known better, but it didn't show well even to somebody that should have known better. Showcase the area on the ride there. I had a showing a couple years ago. I had people coming in from New Jersey, and I went and scouted out the house before I took them there. And the way I went, it was like I drove for 20 miles. That's what it felt like, and every house was the same. When I left, I went out the other way through the neighborhood, and it was a really quick, scenic way in. So when I took the clients there the next couple days, I took the scenic way in, so they didn't see the other. Always take the most flattering route to the showing. Make sure you know every way in and out. This is a great tip lower expectations. What? This is the greatest house. You guys are going to love this house. It may be the greatest house, but I've oversold it so much that when you get there, guess what? You're disappointed. Downplay it instead of hyping it up. Another great one. People don't ride with us anymore, right? It used to be you popped them in your back seat, and I had an agent, I don't know, 25 years ago, maybe when I was buying a house, 20 years ago, whatever it was, doesn't matter. She had a giant Jaguar, and it was a real estate car. And she said, I bought this thing because, and it was like a living room in the back seat. By the time I got into real estate, I was driving a small BMW convertible. And I feel bad. A friend of mine brought her daughter's like 5'10" and crammed in. We were in that car for like 2 hours driving around. I felt so bad for her daughter. But the fact is I'm telling you a story from 2014 or 2015. I don't think I've driven more than 2 people in my car in that amount of time because people meet you there, which is unfortunate. We want them to ride in the car with us, but it doesn't happen. But either way, especially if you can, because a lot of times if they're following you, they'll follow your lead. Park across the street. Why? It allows their first impression to have as much curb appeal as possible. It's harder to appreciate the entire property from a driveway or with cars in there, or the car blocking the front yard. You get out, you look, you get a big look at it, and you go. When we talk about video creation, one of the things I do with videos, if I have drone shots, I start with the drone shot, but I also always start with the shot of the video from back before I move in towards where you go in the house. Why? It gives a better first impression. Now, this is going to sound old-fashioned. I don't do this because I don't even think I own a pen anymore, do I? Always say, hey, can I use a pen from over there? I don't have a pen on my desk because I do everything electronically. But what I don't want you to do is go on a showing, and have all of these different papers with you, right? So you show up, I got the MLS sheet. You see agents, they got this sheet, they got the tax records, they got all this other stuff. Maybe they have the comps, maybe they have whatever. Don't do that. Carry the bare minimum. Why? I want my clients to focus on the property, not how much the taxes are, not how many square feet a room is. If they ask those questions, say, hey, you know what, let me have you just enjoy the house now. Trust me, I have a method for this. You explain yourself. I'm going to write that down, and we'll get you all those questions when we get out of here. Told you this was on here again. Good luck, but if you can do it, use one car. The car ride is awesome to build more rapport with the person. Again, this next tip was great when I wrote this training. It says 2024 on there. Does it say 2014? 2014, I was pushing my luck with this one. Now it's just give me a break. But if they insist on using 2 cars for reschedule, good luck. You can't do that at this point. But try to use a car. Try to get more time with them, guys. This is another one, outdated because of the internet, but they may not remember. This is the thing. They may not remember. Now, these days, you always have that one tech-savvy person. Okay, here it is on Zillow or on your website or whatever. So they have all the information in front of them. But you're going to have clients that don't. Try not to get into money, the price of the house, until after the showing. Take the emphasis off of that. And guys, I always tell you, you are coaches and advisors, right? We're not salespeople. But look at the second bullet. If they know the price, they're going to be judging it of whether it's worth the money instead of whether they like it or not. I always say you're not salespeople, but I'm going to use a salesperson example here. And I'm not telling you to use this. This is not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is understand the science behind it. If you ever bought a car, right, and they take you out on the test drive, I have a book of how you sell cars, as I study what people do and the things, whatever. A good car salesperson, 3/4 of the way through the trip, is supposed to do their first test close. Other than the price, is this the car you'd like to drive home today? Great sales line, right? But what are they doing? Why are they removing? Well, and what do most people say? Well, it depends on whether I can afford it. No, that's not what I asked you. And this is what you have to be doing here. I want you to not think about if it's $1 million home, a $500,000 home, or $100,000 home. Do you like it? Because if you don't like it, it doesn't matter what the price is. If it doesn't fit your needs, it doesn't matter what the price is. So don't worry about, and you can tell them this in your first meeting that we talked about last week. Don't worry about the price. I'm a great negotiator, and we'll try to make it work. The first step is what we want to do is find you the house that you love. After that, we'll make that go. If you go in and I show you two houses, and you're looking at this one is 300,000 and this one's 325, what are you doing? Wait, is this one worth 25,000 more than that other one? Can I settle for? That's not the thought process. Which of these two do you like? You might like the $300,000 one better. It happens, guys. I don't want the money thing clouding it, and you need to take that away from your clients and explain why. We'll talk about money later. We can negotiate. We can this, we can that. Take the money off the thing. I want to know whether you like the house. That's all we're here right now. If you like the house, we'll work on everything else. Encourage the client to write down what they like. It leaves a final impression and increases encourage them to write down what they like. I'm jumping at bullets here. Why? Because it'll help them remember it when they go out, especially if they showed them 4 or 5 houses. By the way, never show any more than 5 houses ever. They get confused. People are confused after 3 houses. 5 is the absolute max. Can we go see 12 houses today? Absolutely not. I've had people ask me, I got 15 on my list. Okay, let's do 3 days of 5, 5, 5. But better yet, if you're teaching them, these are the shiny pennies. These are the absolute best 5. Let's look at these. Maybe you have one other, and then drop one of these. The next one, show the best feature last. If you should know the inventory. If you show the best feature last, when at all physically possible. I mean, if it's the first room you walk into, when you walk in the house, you can't help it. Even that, you can kind of rush them through it and bring them back to the end. But you want to leave a final impression that'll increase their interest in the property. Look for buying signals. What's a buying signal? Your chair would look great over there. Oh, man, the grandfather clock would look great here. Oh, can you imagine the Thanksgiving we could cook from this kitchen? They're buying signals. How do you do this? By staying out of their way. You know, I always make fun of the guy. I don't know his name. I don't watch the network anymore since I've been in the business. I thought I'd be watching all the time. Then, once you get in the business. But I used to watch HGTV before I was in real estate. You watch Love It or List It. And he takes the people in the house. This is your living room. This is your dining room. And here is your kitchen. And I feel like saying, no kidding, Opie, did you think I was going to put my bedroom set in here? You don't sell that way, guys. Stay out of their way. Let them go through and observe for buying signals. Listen to when they say the grandfather clock would look there. Man, what a meal we could cook for Thanksgiving in here. Acknowledge and use buying signals. Create urgency. If they want to know if something's included, write it down instead of giving them a quick answer. Builds urgency. Man, I really hope that that's included. Offer to call the listing agent to find out if there are any other offers on the property. This is I have a friend, Mike, that's a great, he's a great salesperson. Anytime I've started businesses where, I used to own a marketing company. And one of the things we used to have to do is sell advertising, something that, God forbid, right? So how do you sell advertising? Well, you have to have a sales process. So I had him come aboard and write the sales process. And you realize, like, even the things that he's from the start, when he calls somebody, he says, people want to call him, they want to bust right into their thing, they're interrupting. He goes, hey, I'm sorry, do you have a minute to speak to me? And I'm like, dude, I would tell everybody no. He's like, no. He goes, trust me, people respect that. He knew all these small things, right? One of the things that he always said, which is true, and we talked about this when we did the phone inquiries last week or the week before in this series, but he said, you always want to try to take something away from somebody a little bit. People want what they can't have. Let me call and see if that property is available. Or not let me call. Or hang on and let me see if that property is unavailable, if it went under contract. Why do we do that? because now all of a sudden I'm somewhat interested to, oh my God, I have to have it. Somebody else wants it. It's a natural psychological thing that goes through people's heads. So when you're doing this, oh yeah, well, you know what? We kind of like this house. Let me find out if there's any other offers, if it's still available. It will increase their urgency. Oh, we'll think about it. Maybe on Monday we'll make an offer, and this is Thursday. Well, let me call and see if it's still available. Oh my God, honey, if we want this, we better jump on it. It's the way people think. Appeal to their emotions instead of their logic. You use logic with sellers, emotion with buyers. Logic with sellers, emotion with buyers. This is another one. Work with your mortgage rep. Focus on payments over price. The car industry back in the early 80s got really smart when car prices started to skyrocket. In the late 70s, I guess it was. I don't know. It was before my time. But they went from how much a car cost, because everybody up to that time came in and paid cash, right? To financing. Went to the banks and said, we got a plan. And the bank said, this sounds like a genius plan. Compound interest. We're going to make millions, right? Do you care whether the car you bought was $20,000, $30,000, or $40,000? Do you care about the price of the car? Or do you care about what your payment is every month, right? People go in and say, I can afford to pay $500 a month for a car. If it's a $100,000 car or a $20,000 car, how much is it going to cost me a month? $500. Okay, I can afford that. That's why do I love the car? Okay, now can I get the car for $500, right? Going back to that. Same thing with a house. Does it matter if the house is $325 or $320 or $315? Unless they're paying cash, right? And if a cash buyer, drop this off the table, but most people aren't. It's all about what they can afford a month. The price of the house doesn't always matter because the taxes are different from town to town. You can have a $300,000 house in one town and a $320,000 house in the other town. A $320,000 house costs less a month because the taxes are a couple $1,000s less a month. It all depends. It's all perspective. So stop going over, get them off the price and get them thinking about, well, what's your monthly budget? Where can we be? If they have a pre-approval, that number is usually in there. Talk to the mortgage person. Tell them that you're doing this. And then assume a full price offer. Instead of talking about the price, discuss what the monthly payment would be. And just assume at full price. This is going to help you from lowball Larry and the other ones. They're going to try to come in and blow up the deal. Show your buyers the favorite home a second time. So you go out and you see 4 houses, 5 houses, whatever. House number 2 is their favorite. At the end, let's go back and take a check at that number 2 house again. That's your favorite. Let's just go look, give you a second look after you've now seen everything. It might take an extra 15, 20 minutes. Who cares, guys? This is your job. This is what we do. Show all houses on the list, even if the buyer is sure they want one. I have mixed rules on this, so you're going to hear me say this and the opposite. But if they show up at the first house, nope, this is it, this, that, whatever. I don't want them going home and coming back and saying, well, you know what? They're looking online now. But that second one might have had and having second thoughts. So just say to them, you know what? You think this is the one? Let's just go quickly look at the other ones. We're going to come back to this one at the end. Oh, okay. And that way, there's not that we should have looked at house number 3, and that doubt. Said this before, I won't say it again, other than just to repeat. Open the doors, let the house sell itself. Phone inquiries. Again, this is going through what we talked about. You're going to introduce yourself. Hi, I'm calling. Remember, guys, what we talked about last week. And this is a review of this, but here it is. People are calling you about a house, not to find out more about it, but to take it off their list. Husband and wife, one of them goes to work, says, hey, while I'm at work, can you call on these 12 houses we liked yesterday that we identified? Narrow the list down to 4 or 5. They call, hi, I was calling about your house on Main Street. Does it have a pool? Oh, can you hang on 1 second? Let me just see if it's available. Still available. Put a pause to their one to go off. Then I come back and I qualify them. Oh, so you're looking for houses just with a pool? This, that, whatever. I know that you probably have other ones on your list. Okay. I can get you the answers to all of those. You don't have to call each individual realtor. And you go back and forth. It's called the fair exchange, where you talk about, they ask a question, you ask a question, they ask a question, you ask a question. And then you schedule the appointment. You confirm the date, you validate yourself and your company very quickly. You get them excited about the pre-meeting you're going to have in your 6-step buying process that we taught last week. And then you're going to schedule that time. There's a script that's in here, the buyer's phone inquiry script from 102 that goes through this. If you didn't get it last week, we'll make sure you get it today. Any questions?